very glad to finally get around to doing this video. It's not entirely my video. It is from the script that Charles sent me. Charles from Truthhertzradio, or you might also know him as Christendom 2 or Alternative Science. He owns all three of those channels on Odyssey. He has stopped making videos for his own reasons, but I emailed him and he sent me some scripts of videos he was going to make, and he gave me permission to go ahead and record them, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll be adding in some of my own commentary in parts, so let's just get on to it. So I'm going to do the Lifeforce one first, because first of all, I find it the most interesting, but I actually find it the most important to understand Lifeforce. It is part of understanding who we are and understanding our own power. Life can be explained in terms of energy force. At its core, life is a complex interplay of energy, transformations, and biochemical processes. Absolutely. And actually, all matter is just light in a standing wave, right? When you really break down what the molecules are, they're just all light in a standing wave. But they're also comprised of both this something, which is the energy, and nothing, which is the space in between. So it contains a contradiction as well, which all feeds into the theme of duality and all that. But let's not get off on a tangent too much. Organisms, of course, depend on energy and obtain it from various sources, such as sunlight during photosynthesis or chemical reaction and cellular respiration. And of course, this is what happens when we eat food. Well, real food. I don't think we get that much good energy from processed food. Organisms also engage in metabolic processes that convert energy into usable forms by cells, enabling growth, reproduction, and maintenance. So again, metabolizing the calories in food. But we also emit electromagnetic heat energy, or infrared. And this is the type of energy with the longest wavelength. So we can't see it. We can only see a very small spectrum of colors, but you can sense it. And maybe this is what people are sensing when we talk about aura, right? And there's like other terms people use as well, but I'm thinking aura, and I felt aura definitely. And you can definitely tell that there's just a different energy when you're around people that are happy and excited, or when people are upset. There's just a different energy there, a different aura there. Humans and animals both emit brain waves, and although brain waves are not classified as electromagnetic waves, they are nevertheless the result of synchronized electrical activity from neurons firing in the brain. So brain waves are still somewhat electromagnetic in nature, and animals give them off as well. So I'm not exactly sure why they aren't classified as electromagnetic waves. There might be a reason for that. Nonetheless, this definitely shows there's a non-physical component, and non-physical as in we can't really see it, we can't touch it, can't pet it like a cat, but it's still there and it's influencing everything. Organisms also use energy in the form of electrochemical signals to perform basic functions, such as facilitating the movement of limbs, wings, or fins. Of course, the principles of thermodynamics govern how energy flows and transform within organisms, influencing everything from cellular functions to ecosystem dynamics. Study of life at a molecular level often involves understanding how energy affects molecular interaction and biological structures. I do find this difficult to talk about because I know not everyone believes in molecules or atoms, so it gets difficult to talk about. And of course, the models that we see in school don't perfectly represent atoms at all, but I still believe there's atoms because, like I said, they contain something and nothing, and so they are containing their own contradiction, its duality, and, well, I just don't think the so-called elites would be so obsessed with duality for no reason. The checkerboard and stuff symbolizes their obsession with duality. I just don't think that comes from nowhere. So, moving on. There's no question that life forms of all kinds need and utilize electricity for every conceivable function that they conform. But what about life itself? Is life a form of energy or even electricity? Let's have a look. We turn off a light switch, the light refuses to shine anymore. But it's only the bulb that ceases to function. However, the electricity continues on, just not in a way that causes the bulb to light up anymore until the switch is flipped again. So I'm reading this and I'm thinking, well, my first thought goes straight to The Mind Electric. It's a song from Miracle Musical, and there's different interpretations of that song, but I have seen Electric Mind, the interpretation of the song of life itself being energy or electricity. I've seen that interpretation a few times, but I'm also thinking about how at conception I can't remember all the details of it, but there is this spark that happens during our conception physically, this glowing. And of course, there's this concept of the divine spark, the divine shine. So I feel like all of that ties in together. And of course, it's also something that's associated with death, going into the light. I just find that really interesting. So we should wonder, can this be how life energy works as well? When we die, is it only because the electricity has left the body, but still continues in the form of energy that has simply left its former shell, if you will? And I've always wondered that. And honestly, I'm closer to believing in reincarnation than other forms of afterlife. But it's also something I think to be careful with, because you never know where or even what you'll reincarnate into next. But here's something very important to consider. At the very moment of conception, when the sperm unites with the egg, I mentioned this earlier, the newly formed zygote actually lights up and continues to glow for some time, between several minutes to a couple hours or so. So I must have learned that from some of his videos before on his alternative science channel, but he's mentioned it here again. Hold on, I lost my place. I got it back. The source of this glow has been traced to magnesium ions. But is this glow indicative of something else? Something far deeper? Well, of course, I connect it to this concept of the divine spark. And does this glow provide us a glimpse into the energy spark of life itself? Well, I would say so. And they say that if the truth is spoken in such the right way, it will be understood. So even if you are shrouding things in metaphors, it can still click with people, even if they don't fully understand why. But here's another interesting analogy. A battery stores energy, correct? And batteries can be utilized by various devices to perform their assigned tasks. So do our bodies also operate like batteries, storing energy we can tap into to perform basic functions? Don't we need to recharge our batteries so we can continue to function? If a battery is drained of its energy, it's said to be dead, correct? So perhaps it's the same with our bodies. And so just like our bodies need energy to function physically, do they not also need the energy of life itself to be alive in the first place? Yeah, I would say so. And so we come to wonder if the ancient Chinese were onto something. The ancient Chinese knew that the human body operated on the basis of energy distribution. They also knew how to interrupt that energy flow to block pain through acupuncture. And I don't know if I ever want to try acupuncture or not, but if I ever really need to, I think it would be worth a try, I guess. As a matter of fact, I probably could use it right now, because I do have some muscular problems, but I don't think I'll ever try it unless it gets severe, because, I don't know, it seems kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes me cringe just thinking about it, but I should probably get over that if I ever try it. Anyway, interestingly enough, the Japanese scientist Hiroshi Matoyama, back in 1981, developed a device that succeeded in locating and measuring energy flow patterns through the body. Using this device, which he called Apparatus for Meridian Identification, Matoyama was able to identify streams of ions flowing through the interstitial layer of tissue beneath the surface of the skin. What is so remarkable is that these streams of ions correspond exactly with the location and distribution of acupuncture meridians mapped out by the Chinese thousands of years ago. So isn't it obvious the ancient Chinese had a much greater handle on how the body worked and the energies within it? Yes, and even to this day, they tend to be healthier than a lot of us. They tend to eat healthier and all that. Well, sometimes. The life force. Can it be detected? The difference between a living person and a dead body. One enables a living person to move and think, whereas a dead person can no longer do these things. The one factor that makes the difference is, of course, what we call life. But what exactly is life? Is it, once again, not a force or energy? Well, I think it's something non-physical. The life force, of course, can be seen in everything, living, plants, and animals alike. And of course, plants are not just alive, they have capabilities that they're not really ever given credit for. Almost a consciousness of sorts. Obviously not quite like ours, but they still have a level of consciousness and intelligence if you observe them. So the ancients were aware of this life force, having referred to it as either spirit, breath of life, prana, chi, or aura, soul, many terms to refer to this thing. There's so many terms for it. But perhaps it's all the same thing, the life energy. From the simplest single-celled organism to the mightiest redwood tree, all life forms are imbued with this energy, with this force. It could be argued that all the living things are connected by this life force which they tap into, just like all light bulbs must be tapped into the same electrical power to light themselves up. Now this point's very interesting because you have the power grid, of course, right? And so when I think about what they call the field of consciousness, I've often imagined it to be much like a grid. I don't really know how to explain it without actually drawing it, but I've always imagined that each person is the node on the net, the grid. I don't know how else to explain it, but that's just always how I imagine it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. There seems to be a lot of things pointing towards that, so I don't know. Just interesting. But what is so tantalizing and frustrating about life force, though, is the fact that it cannot yet be isolated, captured, stored, and produced or conveyed in any other way but through life forms themselves. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't really want my life force to be captured. Heck, I'd argue that living in a body in this realm has been captured in a way, if you think about the soul trap theory. But let's move on. Since the life form seems to be beyond our ability to explain, define, or even comprehend, mainstream science tends to label it as quackery in any attempt to find it as a source or as energy. Well, the materialist science will do that. Anyone that's a little bit more open-minded will at least recognize there's things that we cannot yet explain. But life energy seems to act just as that. The fact that it can't be detected or measured with the machine just goes to show how limited, beyond our understanding and technological advancement, we may be able to at some future point. Maybe if we don't destroy ourselves. As a force does not mean that it isn't a force. Especially that when we see that it does seem to act like a force. Radiation was first discovered by a scientist leaving a roll of camera film in a drawer next to a piece of uranium. I wonder why he had a camera film there, though. When he saw that this new roll got exposed to some sort of light, when such a thing should have never happened, because this film wasn't exposed to a normal light, it was realized that there must be some form of invisible light or energy of some sort that was not previously known about. It was only then that the uranium began to be studied, and the Geiger counter was later invented so that the presence of radiation could be detected. And I bet the uranium girls wish it had been detected earlier, right? You guys know what I'm talking about? The uranium girls that used to paint those glow-in-the-dark clocks with the uranium paint. And funny enough, uranium's atomic number is 88. And 88 has a lot of occult associations with time, and then time connects to Saturn and also connects to H.L. Hitler. It's just crazy how all that connects. Can't really do that on accident, but I don't know if it's all being done on purpose by people either. Maybe it's just the universe trying to tell us something, maybe. But do you see the point? Prior to the discovery of radiation, anyone that speculated forms of radiation existed that could not be seen or detected with currently available instruments would have been laughed at. So perhaps it's the same with the life force energy. Maybe it hasn't been detected with instruments yet because we don't understand the nature of it enough to detect it yet. Or maybe it's already been done, it's just not been officially or widely acknowledged yet. That's very likely true. There's all sorts of stuff that's been discovered that would be very useful for humanity that's being hidden. For as it turns out, progress appears to have made in recent decades detecting the existence of the life force. For example, there has been a considerable interest among some scientists in researching what are called biofields, or again, you can just call it aura, which are claimed to be detectable energy fields that surround living beings. Some even claim that detecting these fields can help to diagnose unhealthy conditions in the body, including the state of mental health. I guess that would be very useful for that, because, like I said before, you can definitely tell a difference in the aura of people when they are upset or very happy. So I think that would help with mental health. Though I bet in our current system it would just be used in all sorts of wacky ways that aren't actually helpful. But if we get the right people to do it, I'm sure it'd be helpful. No one argues the existence of biofields, which have been confirmed by various instruments, but what is argued is how the data is being interpreted. Anyway, some of the methods or instruments employed to detect and measure biofields include magnetometers, which are used to measure very weak magnetic fields, electromagnetic field meters, which are used to detect and quantify weak EMF fields emitted by the body, resonant and frequency analysis instruments, which many claim can diagnose health problems through recognition of anomalies in the body's signal outputs. I wonder if a dog can be considered a resonance and frequency analysis instrument, because if y'all don't know this, people with epilepsy sometimes have dogs that are trained to detect the difference in their energy, and a dog can warn them when they're about to have a seizure and get them to lay down and do all they need to do. And it's funny that dogs can do that better than we can, but maybe at one point we did have the ability to detect these anomalies better just ourselves with our brains, but we lost that. There's something to think about with that. Next instrument is a heart rate variability detection instrument, which assesses the autonomic nervous system's response, which can in turn reflect the state of the biofield. I think that's that thing that you see that has the lines that go up and down, but maybe that's not the same thing. And also you have biofield imaging, which utilizes advanced imaging techniques with such a high resolution cameras and sensors that actually provide visuals of biofields for further diagnostic purposes. And then also Kirlian photography, which is the most controversial of these. I don't really know how that's different than the biofield imaging, but either way, this technique is said to capture electrical coronal discharge around the object, ostensibly the life force around living organisms. The technique is often poo-pooed, but it does produce images of something. And I don't really see why it's that crazy to think that we have an energy not just within us, but outside of us as well, because we have phones and laptops and computers and even cars and stuff that can send signals to each other, right? And we made those, and oftentimes creation reflects its creator, so why can't we do the same thing? I don't think it's that far-fetched. So I wonder, as they call themselves elites, I wonder if there's something about this that they are scared of. They're scared of us knowing it. Well, maybe it's because then we know more about ourselves and our own powers and would be able to gain full independence from them. I bet that's why they don't like that. But still, let's try to stay rational, level-headed, and fair, because the real criticism lies in how the data is interpreted. But what else could it be but the evidence of the life force? What this method does is expose the subject to a high voltage, high frequency electric field, and from there, the interaction between this electric field and the much weaker electric field of the subject is recorded in. Okay, I guess that's how it's different from biofield imaging, because they're adding more electricity to it, and then it enhances the visible image, and then provides additional details about the weak electric field of the subject. All these methods are producing evidence of something, and that something may very well, again, be life force. And then the next section is utilizing life force to heal the body. And it's probably mentioned here, but of course, full-on electroshock therapy, that's almost like electro execution. Obviously, that's not used anymore for a reason, because of course, if you get too much electricity in you and it throws things out of balance, it will effing kill you. But very gentle and balanced, tiny electro waves of electricity can be very good for you, whether it's with your brain, or I've actually had this done before at physical therapy, where they put these little nodes on some of my muscles I have issues with, and use little electrical pulses to help muscles relax and stop spasming for no reason. I don't quite remember what that's called. I always jokingly called it electroshock therapy. And oh man, my mom and my physical therapist always hated that. It's probably mentioned down here in the notes. But apparently you can do that, and apparently it's not really that expensive. You can get one of your own. I might try to get one of my own one of these days. But I don't know why I haven't got one already. But let's get back to it before this video gets too long. Holistic practitioners have been making use of biofield detectors for a long time now, and have reported much success in diagnosing and even curing health problems. According to the website TuscanBiofeedback.com, biofields encompass a range of electromagnetic forces, including electrical and magnetic fields, as well as biophotons that span from ultraviolet to infrared and even terahertz waves. These energy fields are far from static. They are dynamic and responsive, capable of encoding and transmitting essential information to the body's various systems. And this implies not only does the body of biofields reveal health conditions of the body, but can influence the health conditions as well. And as the same website put it, the biofield influences the nervous system, impacting physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And like I said, you can use small, light electrical impulses to basically make the body do whatever you want it to do. So if you send an electrical impulse towards the brain to make someone raise their hand, they will raise their hand. So of course, you can use it to create healing. But then again, you can also use it for harm. Like I said, They used to use electroshock therapy on people, and that would pretty much, if it didn't kill them, it would give them schizophrenia or all sorts of other problems, permanent injuries, burns. There's a reason why we don't really do that anymore. But maybe it's not accurate to say we don't do that anymore, because as we know, that EMF waves have been used for negative reasons, and people health in certain areas with all sorts of bad electricity being sent through it by the you know who, the elites. They experience all sorts of problems. And of course, you got the whole gang stalking thing as well. I don't believe every claim from every person that claims that. Sometimes I just think maybe they got something else going on. But when it's a whole town of people claiming the same symptoms, especially when they have a new 5G tower being put in over there, that I do believe. And I do believe it affects people. And I think it's that they're putting out the frequencies to affect people negatively on purpose. Anyway, indeed, much research has been done in this area, but much work still needs to be done. And I think I accidentally skipped a section. With that being the case, it does not imply the use of artificial low-level electrical fields might be employed to correct disordered biofields. But again, like I said, it can also be made to create disordered biofields, essentially. But unfortunately, big money is not being put to use in this area. Can you guess why? Well, it's because they want you to just take pills or vaccines and stuff. They don't really ever want to get to the root of the problem. Clearly, biofields play a huge role in human health. The Tuscan Biofeedback website went on even further to say, in the world of biofields, electrical fields are generated by mechanical stress, a phenomenon known as piezoelectricity. These fields are crucial for regulating cell functions and maintaining the density of supporting tissues in response to mechanical loads. Moreover, electric fields created by the intracellular network of microtubules, centrosomes, and chromosomes play fundamental roles in regulating various cellular activities, including mitosis and meiosis. Well, don't forget the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Well, it's actually the nucleus, but mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That's something, it used to be a bit of a meme back when I was in school. So I just thought I'd put that in there for some humor. Anyway, in addition to high-speed electrical signals conducted along nerve axons, a second communication network conducts information through slowly varying direct currents. These DC fields play key roles in recognizing damage and guiding cell migration, essential for wound healing and regulating neuronal pathfinding. Excuse me, I need to pause and take care of my voice for a second. Okay guys, I'm sorry. I don't have good vocal stamina, so I had to take a brief break there. I'm pretty sure my voice is still gonna be dead by the end of this, but I'm gonna try to keep on going. Now, in addition to high-speed electrical signals conducted along nerve axons, a second communication network conducts information through slowly varying direct currents. These DC fields play key roles in recognizing damage and guiding cell migration, essential for wound healing and regulating neuronal pathfinding. Now, do you suppose the medical mafia knows about the important role of biofields but has been suppressing it? Honestly, I don't doubt it. And isn't all this more reason to pursue alternative health practitioners? Yes, but also I think be careful with that, because there are a lot of hucksters out there in the world of alternative health. They'll try to push veganism and shit onto you, so just be careful with it. The same website went on to confirm that biofield therapies are underway in spite of the intimidation games of mainstream medicine. And this looks like another quote from their website. Recognizing the significance of biofields has given rise to various holistic therapies and practices designed to restore balance and vitality. Biofield therapy modalities such as Reiki, acupuncture, and energy healing aim to harmonize and optimize the energy flow within the biofield. And in addition to the brain, The heart also gives off a heavy output of electrical energy, and surely has a lot to do with the body's biofield. Well, of course, because you can't have the heart without the brain, and you can't have the brain without the heart. So, of course, the heart also has energy as well, but it's connected with the brain. And as this website went on to say, the human heart stands out as a remarkable source of both electrical and magnetic fields. The electrical field is easily detectable through electrocardiogram, and the heart's magnetic field recorded several feet from the body. These fields carry information that can be detected by other individuals or even animals. For instance, heart fields can lead to cardiac-induced entrainment, where one person's heart rhythm synchronizes with another person's brain waves even at a distance. I didn't know that, but I know that people will entrain and synchronize in other ways. The informational potential or bioeffectiveness of these heart fields is noteworthy. They can encode psycho-emotional information with impressive accuracy rates and detecting discrete emotional states from heart rate variability patterns. Yeah, I didn't know that could affect the heart too. I know about entrainment, and I know that if the brain waves of one person are raised, and sometimes they will do that through mushrooms and other psychoactive drugs, that it can actually raise the frequency of those around them. But I didn't know it could raise the heart rate of others as well. I never even thought to ask that. That's interesting. And I wonder if that connects to why the menstrual cycle of a woman, of different women together going in sync. I wonder if that connects to the biofield as well. But man, sometimes I wish that wouldn't happen. And by the way, I'm a woman saying that, so I'm not being sexist. Anyway, the interconnected systems of the body, nervous, endocrine, immune, cardiovascular, communicate through electrical and molecular signals. Biofields also emerge as potential carriers of information between these systems. These electromagnetic carriers govern every aspect of our biology and health, either hindering or facilitating the body's healing processes. So I bet that's why they put off so much 5G crap right now. It's to interrupt our proper processes, I would bet. So isn't it obvious that studying biofields is not just an interesting side note, but that it is absolutely crucial to understanding and restoring health? This website ended off by saying, the role of terahertz frequencies, waves, and pulsed electromagnetic frequency therapy in enhancing biofields is recent and exciting development. These therapies are designed to optimize the body's energy matrix, promoting balance and vitality. As research into their applications and efficiency expands, they offer new prospects for improving health and well-being. I should probably try that out one day. I wonder if there anyone that would do it and not make it super expensive. In the ancient world, amber was made into pendants and worn for its beauty. I think that's a reason enough to wear it. But more than that, amber was also known to be magical, if you will, in its ability to heal the body. Well, there's all sorts of different crystals and stuff thought to do that. And I like crystals, but here we're not talking about silly superstition, but an actual scientific property that facilitated health restoration. Well, I don't think the crystal thing as a whole is completely silly. I think there's something to it. I'll continue reading about the amber here, but I think there can be something maybe about the geometry of crystals that promotes good energy. I just don't think it's all healing though. I think it can be a bit of new age entrapment, but as it turns out, amber is highly electrical. I wonder what it is about amber that makes it more electrical than other things. When rubbed wool, for example, it can give off shocks of static electricity and can attract particles of soil or small seeds. And it didn't take long for the ancients to realize that this electrical property had a healing effect. The first recorded medical treatments with amber come from the ancient Greeks, but such practices probably started much earlier. The Greeks sought to utilize the attractive forces of amber to fight disease. They massaged bodies of sick people, rubbing pain-afflicted areas with amber stones in the hope that the amber's attractive forces would pull pain out of their bodies. Later, the Romans employed amber as both a disease treatment and a disease preventative. I wonder if it's also got to do with its gold color, because there's also plenty of evidence that the ancients knew that the sun, which would be represented by gold or other things with the gold color, and it was associated with life and consciousness itself. So I wonder if that had something to do with their fascination with amber, because amber does have a very beautiful orangey gold color, and I do like amber. So I just wonder if it has to do with that. Anyway, Pliny the Elder, who lived from 23 to 79 AD, the great Roman naturalist and naval commander, who was killed at Pompeii by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, recommended wearing amber around the neck to ward off throat diseases and mental disorders. Well, I think I need to start wearing amber around my neck more, especially for my throat, man. Maybe that would have helped me record this video better. Powdered amber later found its way into various medicines and potions, and many people claim to have benefited from its healing powers. Well, it is like just dried up sap, right? So I bet it does taste very sweet and good. As late as the 16th century, the famous Swiss physician Paracelsus recommended amber as a noble medicine for the hand, head, stomach, intestines, and other I think he meant to put sinus complaints. But it says sinews. I think he meant to put sinus. Again, I can definitely use some of that. Some would argue that all this amounted to was the placebo effect. But was it? The placebo effect itself is very interesting to go into, because what exactly actually causes that, right? But let's wonder if there's something scientific to it all. And I would argue they were way ahead of us, and we are just now starting to catch on to what they knew long ago. Well, I thought there was a whole section in this document about near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, but I must be misremembering. Well, anyway, I would like to add a section on those here myself, because I would argue that these experiences have to do with at least something non-physical and something about our consciousness and who we are that is not entirely contained to just the body, and really shouldn't be. I've never had a near-death experience, fortunately, but I've had a couple out-of-body experiences. Nothing really to write home about. Of course, it's already pretty cool, I guess, to have an out-of-body experience at all, but I didn't do very much during them. It was just me usually while trying to fall asleep, so some might argue it was just some kind of dream, but I know what dreams are like. Those weren't like that, but sometimes I'm trying to fall asleep. I would just pop out of my body and I see myself laying there or be looking at the wall, like I was like way up on a ladder or something and was seeing it from that angle. So not too much, and this hasn't happened too many times, but I've experienced it a few times. So I guess the entire point of all this whole video, and thank you, Charles, for sending me the notes. And the whole point is that there's just something that's not entirely physical about us. And I think that's really important to understand that, because we live in a world of increasing materialism and sort of negative nihilistic views that come with all that. And that's just one layer of the elites try to use to keep us from really knowing the truth about ourselves and to keep us pretty much enslaved here. And it's a trap that a lot of us fall into for a while, especially if we come from other religions like Christianity, or just go to the other extreme of being completely materialist. Like completely materialist atheist, like Reddit atheist, and shunning any other ideas off. And I don't think nihilism itself is inherently negative, but a lot of times we become very negatively nihilistic and depressed. And for some people, that's enough to drive them to like suicide and stuff. And that's obviously not good. So I would say this is a topic that can bring a lot of hope to people as well. So it's another reason why it's so important. Of course, don't do anything crazy with this information. Again, I'm not telling you to go out and like electrocute yourself or to think that like now you got super lightning powers or anything. But our life energy, yeah, like it's electric. And I think that's pretty cool. Maybe electric isn't actually the right word for it, but it's definitely something non-physical. Again, what you might call soul, spirit, or chi. Well, anyway, I just find that really interesting, and thanks again, Charles, for the notes. I'll be trying to get the more of the notes you sent me in the future, but I done this one first. So, anyway, this has been Lucid Daydreamer, and keep dreaming on.